Welcome to the What's Your Ceiling podcast. We're your hosts, Monte Wyatt and Paul Szynski. Wherever you are in life, there is a higher ceiling. This podcast is how you become aware of it and how to take action to push through it. It's time to discover your ceiling. Welcome to the What's Your Ceiling podcast, where we talk about your health, your family, your business. I'm Monte Wyatt.
I'm Paul Szynski.
And if you are a CEO, a business owner, or executive, this is the show for you. We like to call our audience the achiever because you're always striving for the next level. And we've got a fantastic show today. I'm looking forward to our conversations. And before we get into our introduction of our guest, I want to talk about a topic, Paul, for the two of us, just briefly. And our topic is athletic skills to business skills. So when you hear that phrase, what comes to mind for you?
I think you're looking at an individual that you take an athlete at the level of this individual we have today and going into the business world, breaking through ceilings. I think an athlete that like this, when they're focused, are the type of athletes or ceilings that are broken easier for them because they're usually goal oriented and they have a lot of mental in sports. You get beat up and you get knocked down, but you still keep getting up. And I think a lot of Wall Street firms recruit the athletes out of college. And we got one here that's it's going to be a great show today, and looking forward to this interview.
Yeah, when I hear athletic skills to business skills, I think about discipline. Athletes, you got to have discipline. You got to get up early. You got to lift weights. You got to do this. You got to run. You got to go to practice, and that's a discipline. And business owners and executives want to hire those kind of people because you need discipline to be successful. And so I think that's Absolutely. a powerful skill that you gain from being an athlete.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tonight we have a gentleman that's joined us today that was recruited all over the United States, a blue chip athlete, running back out of Joplin, Missouri. In high school, he was an outstanding running back and linebacker. Back in the 80s, where they were recruiting big running backs, he was definitely one of them. And I'd like to introduce to you former ISU football player, running back, started his freshman year, Marques Rodgers. Marques, it's a pleasure to have you on our podcast. We're looking forward to showing those ceilings and the good, bad, and ugly of things you had to deal with to get where you're at today. And we'd like to talk about that. Tell me a little bit about where you came from and start with that.
Okay. Of course. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Marques Rodgers, and I'm originally from Joplin, Missouri. It's quite a whirlwind, actually, to be exactly where I'm at today. Right now, I am club manager, Genesis Health Clubs in Clive, Iowa.
Well, now, so like Monty said earlier about being an athlete, you had a lot of natural ability, but still to go to that next level, you had to have discipline. Yeah, and being an athlete, going from high school to college, that's a big change. So kind of tell us a little bit about how you were recruited, who were you recruited with, and the three final college teams that you looked to
Of
join.
course. Obviously growing up, that was a dream to go to college on that next level, and football just happened to be my ticket. I was recruited essentially by, there was so many different schools and universities that recruited me. I went far out as UCLA on a recruitment trip. Me being in the Midwest, the Big Eight was really after me, and I came to Ames, Iowa, to recruitment trips to Iowa State, several recruitment trips. I went to Nebraska, a recruitment trip, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. And it just was a whirlwind to be recruited on that level. You asked about the three schools that it actually came down to. It came down to Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Iowa State University. And I actually had orally committed to Nebraska. Kind of like what I was telling you, I committed to Nebraska. And when you oral commit, that's just what it is orally. I'm going to, commit to Nebraska. And, courtesy is just to let your choices know that, hey, look, I've decided that I'm going to go to Nebraska, or, your choice.
And you're 17 years old at this time.
Yeah, I was a youngster, 17 years old. And, lifetimes ago, it seems like. But I'll never forget, I contacted Oklahoma, and then I contacted, Iowa State, my recruitment coach at the time, Joel Sanders. And, and obviously both, they were like, are you sure? And at that time it was kind of like good etiquette, but obviously keep in mind an oral commitment is not a written commitment. So I'll never forget my mother coming in one evening, and I want to say 2:30 a.m. And she's like, hey, you have someone here to see you. And it was Joel Sanders and Coach Greiner. And
so these are the Iowa State coaches at the time.
Yeah, this was Iowa State. And basically their pitch was, hey, we guarantee you an opportunity to start, and that was huge, and when you're young, that's what you dream of, an opportunity to start, and you really, there's so much that you don't know, but you do know that you want to, play immediately. I don't care who you are. And that's kind of like what swayed me to come up to Ames, to Iowa State, was just the fact that I was going to get the opportunity to start my dream, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, impact player right away.
Correct.
And that's the way achievers are. They want to make an impact, and sometimes they want to get ahead of it too. That you're always pushing that envelope to be better.
What's the difference of mentality from being in high school to go into college sports that you had to adjust from 17 and being exposed to all that?
Well, probably the biggest thing was that you're thrown into an atmosphere to where you see there's so many different cultures, people from everywhere in the world and everywhere in the United States. Chicago, Florida, Texas, and all these student athletes that you're thrown into a pot with essentially are your teammates now. And everybody's vying for their positions. And it just was it's a different world, coming from, a small town like Joplin, Missouri, and basically coming to the college environment was completely different. As far as the playing level, I always knew I was really good. That's just the confidence that I had. I knew I was really good. But if you ask me what the difference from high school level as far as on the football field to collegiate level, D1, everybody's fast. The speed was just phenomenal, but that was the biggest adjustment as far as on the field was just, man, you're not going to outrun everybody, you know what I mean? And versus in high school, I'm outrunning you or running you over or whatever. It just was a little different level as far as, just the fact, going to that college atmosphere, it was just a tremendous adjustment as far as being around so many people.
Now, you started within 3 games of your freshman year.
Correct. Right? Yeah. They, true to their word, I took over the starting position as a true freshman, and I did really, really well.
Yeah. And then a lot of, as an athlete, transferring from being a D1 blue chip athlete, you're put on this pedestal, you get out, now you got to go out and get a job, right?
Correct.
And you got to transfer those skills that you've learned on the ball field into a business. Kind of tell us how you got into the business. You're in the health business now. You manage properties. Tell us how that transitioned.
Yeah, of course. First, most importantly, I think that when you get into your job field, that it's very important that you like what you are embarking upon. You don't want to just job that you're just going to work and just a shell. You want to be a part of the job. You want to like what you do. Essentially, is what I'm saying. Myself, I'm in the health and fitness business, okay? And that's essentially what I love doing. I don't like it, I love doing it. I embarked upon that at a younger age. I actually went to get a gym membership and came out employed, essentially. Crazy story, but, it's so true. I met a guy, and me and him were communicating, and I told him I just was looking to sign up for a membership, and we got to, we embarked upon some conversations, some really good conversations, and he's like, man, you should come work, man, you would be great in this industry, and I'm like, I don't know. And long story short, I ended up accepting his offer, man, and I have not looked back since. I mean, it's just an amazing industry, and like I said, you have to love what you do, and I truly love what I do.
Oh, that's great. Now, so you get offered it, and this is around the Kansas City, Missouri area, right?
This actually was in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay, Springfield.
Okay? Yes.
Right. Well, that's so you get into. What type of training did you get to get into the? Management part of it?
Yes, probably a little bit about my story. Training was, I didn't really get trained. I just my hard work. Essentially, I picked up from the ground, and I learned the industry, learned pretty much everything, and of course I was taught, as far as trained, from the higher ups, as far as, the nature of the business and everything. But me coming into the industry, nothing was given to me. Where I got today was hard work, just hard work, learning what I needed to do to get to the top, and it actually paid off.
So you're in. What would so you do the hiring? You do, and what do you look for when you hire someone, and when you do have to fire? What are probably reasons you would fire someone?
That's a great question, and just the facts of everything I've been through in life, it really takes something. I'm not going to say tremendous, but for me to fire someone, and there, of course, it's just part of being a leader is sometimes you have to make unpopular choices or decisions, and firing someone, it just depends, absentees, no call, no shows, different things as far as not aligning to our core values with the company. Things of that nature, not having the it factor by, we have essentially a thing called MMFI, make members feel important, and staff is family. That's the most important things of our core values, and we're, I personally hold true to that. And so if someone doesn't align with that, then it's okay. Then they just probably, and we need to sever ties and they need to go a different direction. But when I look to hire someone, I look to their goals, their visions. I like asking a person what their financial goals are, what their personal goals are, their family goals are. Those are the most important things when in that hiring process, because that's going to, obviously make or break. And I think the opportunity to become a successful employee up under me, and if a person's coachable, and you kind of mold that clay into, I always look, whenever I'm hiring someone, I think the ability of a great leader is to mirror the employee or the hiree that you're about to hire. You want to create yourself into them, essentially, and that's kind of like how I go about my hiring process. I want you to become the next leader. Right.
And I loved what you said there. I think that personal, professional, financial goal is huge.
Correct.
Because you want to get that right employee with the right DNA, and to maintain that employee, you've got to meet the personal, professional, financial, help them do that and lead them. And it sounds like you lead your people to hopefully get the right person that wants to stick around and grow with your company. And so if you were to say, name 3 things that you would call an employee the positive, what are the 3 things that you would look for in an individual?
Like I said, coachable. Is that person coachable? Coachable as far as ability to be coached into, the position that you're hiring them for. Also presentable. I mean, you have to present yourself. You don't. I'm in the health and fitness business. And that person has to buy into being, health and fitness. Healthy. We have a thing where it's essential that if you're in the health and fitness, you need to work out. We're not in, the fashion business. We work out. We promote health and fitness. We change people's lives. And if you're not bought into that, then it's not the right industry for you. No harm, no foul. But that's what we do. We want to change people's lives. And if I am selling you a gym membership, or if I'm recruiting you up on, the team, then your message has to align with, you have to align with the message, and if you don't align with that message, then it's not really the industry for you.
Absolutely. I want to come back to you. You mentioned core values.
Yes, sir.
How do you use them within your organization? How do you teach them to your employees to get them to fully live them as well?
So that's a great question. I can tell you that the gym industry is a young industry. It's a young industry as far as, so a lot of times you get people fresh out of college, even high schoolers, or, and core values is essential, core values, because here's the thing. If a person comes in and, core values like, hey, what's your long-term, short-term goal? Do you have a family goals, or are you going to get married? Do you have children, or is that part of your vision to have a family? As far as, in core values, we want to instill that I know everything about what you're looking for as far as how much money you need to make, and what are you willing to make the sacrifices to, make that money, to make that kind of crossover. And good core values is essentially a person who's going to show up on time, a difference maker. That's what I want to teach. Good core values, core values, good people. You want good people around you. Always a professional environment, and that's one thing that I preach to my staff. We are just basically ambassadors to our members and people, prospective members. And if our core values don't align to what we're telling these people, then it's really doesn't work.
That's great. I appreciate you sharing that, because it's one of the things that we focus on is our audience, the achiever. And I really want to reinforce what you just said, is everything is about core values. If we don't align to our core values, then this isn't the right place for you. And that's a powerful thing that every business owner, every CEO needs to make sure that they're looking at their own core values as an organization, and they're hiring on them, they're firing on them, they're making sure they're developing them on them. And so I appreciate you sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. So current, you went from Missouri managing, and then you got something we had talked about earlier. What pushed you to come back to Iowa? You said something about that. It was really important. What was the main purpose? What was the drive?
Well, I kind of was telling Monte here that ceiling, and kind of like your topic of your show, what's your ceiling? It's so crazy. And I remember sitting in my office one day, and it's so crazy. And I stood up, and at some point in your life, you have to ask yourself, is this where I want to be? And it's where I want to be in the industry. But what was my growth, and what's my ceiling? And I felt like my ceiling was just like minimum. Like there's no opportunity to grow exactly where I was at in the club and where I was at. And the crazy thing about that is when I decided that my ceiling there was no opportunity for growth, like I hit my ceiling, things started happening for me. Like opportunities, doors were open. Like, Marcus, you want to come up here to Des Moines, Iowa? There's a health club up here who needs you. You want to go down here to Springdale, Arkansas? There's a health club down there that needs you. And essentially, that's kind of like what it was. I got like I kind of told you, I felt like I was getting recruited again. I had people actually offering me different, jobs with, different companies, still in the same industry, but just different, locations.
You said you hit your ceiling. Did you know you hit a ceiling? And did you feel stuck, or did it happen naturally?
Oh, that's a great question. Kind of both, to be honest. Like there was times like I'm like, okay, when I am like you, kind of like what you said, achiever. I like achieving. I hit the ground running. I just think that it's you wake up, you're just highly motivated to challenge the day. Take on whatever the day challenges you. And so when I hit that ceiling, I knew. I knew, and I asked him, I'm like, man, Marcus, like there's no opportunity for you to grow here. And it hit me, and I'm like, okay, what's next? And like I told you, just kind of what I just said, doors started opening.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you change your mindset, and then you change to you want to grow and you want to achieve, and you had said something about. Are you managing 2 properties at this time, or just one? One okay.
Location.
Because I do know, I stop at your gym and I walk through there, and one thing I've noticed, you always have your employees up front, and they are very gracious and they make you welcome. But I also know your office is up front. You sit behind your desk, and the door is open at all times. And I notice, I don't know how everybody wants to come and talk to you. Is there a purpose that you're up front all the time, or tell me a little bit about that? Why is that office?
Of course, right, because you want to be accessible to your members. You don't want to hide behind a door to your members. Yeah. You want to be accessible. Like the Hickman location, we have thousands of members, and if you're not accessible to these people and you're hiding behind a door, or then you're in the wrong business. And that's why I said, that health and fitness business is something that I love. I don't like it, I love. I'm motivated to go to work every morning. That's my motivation. And I do want to change people's lives. I want to help people get on, the track of health, whether it's health, fitness, mental health. I just think that there's so many different things that I can offer, and kind of like what I told you, this opportunity and my job was not given to me. I earned it, and when you earn something, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, Marcus, and I appreciate when I see you at the gym of how you attract people. You do that. You're obviously, as an athlete and as a human being, you've got some talent. But what would you say your most attractive talent that's gotten you where you are today? What is that? What is that?
So I believe that it's the fact that, early in my life, my mother always told me that you have a God-given talent to where people migrate to you, and it's up to you to use it in the right way. And she used to tell me that all the time, and I really never grasped it until later in life. Like your gifts, you have to understand your natural gifts, your gifts of being able to communicate to all people. When I say all people, I mean that because in this industry, you run across all people, and who in whatever walks of life, and there's no people are people. There's no better you, better me, but you treat everyone the same. And just that fact of me being a people person, that's just a natural gift that I've had, in life. And that's just served me so well. That served me well, like in my ups, my downs, and just professional career, personal career. But that's one of my biggest assets is that.
Thinking of your natural gifts, how have you changed in the last 3 or 4 years to now? As you think about things and as you're managing, as you're leading your team, how are you different today than you were a few years ago?
Okay, just How am I different today? Well, let me tell you, one of my core values that I wake up with, and I say this every single morning of my life, is how can I become a better man than I was yesterday? So that's one of the things that I wake up and I say that to myself every single day. Do I always win? No, I don't always win, but it keeps me centered to where I want to be. And I'm always challenging myself, to grow. I think that kind of like what I was telling you about the ceiling in Springfield, I don't ever want my ceiling to be where I can touch it. I'm always open to change, to opportunity, and that served me well, this far in life, and I will continue to live by that. 2 or 3 years ago, I think that I've grown I set goals for myself, and one of my biggest goals is organization, and I think that I've become a very organized man now, to where before, like, I wasn't the best, when I knew where everything was in my office, but was it the most organized? Probably not. Or just things like that, where you organize things in your life, and, it's served me well, because time is so valuable, time management, and I think like 2 or 3 years ago, man, my time management probably was all over the place, to where now I'm like a little bit better with time management and things like that.
How has that time management impacted your relationship with your team and your family, and how have you used that to your benefit?
Well, because I learned now that it's kind of twofold. So if I have a member that dire needs me, and I'm like have my backpack on and I'm on my way out the door and they dire need me, of course I'm going to help my member.
Yep.
That's just part of what I do. But I am real strict on time now. I'm very punctual. I set a rule, and this was what one of my mentors actually put this rule. He's like, hey, get up 30 minutes. Get up 30 minutes earlier and see the difference that it makes, and try it. And in that 30 minutes, though, you have to do something productive. And so I started trying that, and I'm like, wow, this 30 minutes actually does make a difference, into my whole day, and that time management is just, with my team and my staff, it's so important to stay understanding of that.
I love that. You're exactly right. And I want to reinforce something to our achievers. It's you mentioned time management, about being strict on your time, on where you focus it, but getting up earlier, that 30 minutes earlier, and doing something productive. I think that's a powerful thing that every one of our achievers should be doing every single day, is get up and do something productive first thing.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%. It's made a big difference in my life, just that 30 minutes. And I was like, what am I going to do productive in this 30 minutes? But you'd be surprised what you can do.
Now, Marques, you talked to, do you have, it sounds like you got mentors, coachable people, help coach you up. I think we all do as business people out there. If you want to get better, it's good to have mentors, business associates, whatever, to give you those ideas. And you sound like you do have that.
Yes, I do. I have a couple people that help mentor me as far as the business sense, the business side. And not only that, though, personal, just people that you can talk to. I think that is so important. Kind of like what I was telling you, growing up, one of the biggest things that I wish that I would have had at an early age was mentors, better mentors, someone that, hey, look, Marques, let's do this, let's not do this, and I think that's what the youth needs today, what even, the young and the old need good mentors.
And, you made a comment when we talked earlier today about, your athletes back in the 80s kind of just got thrown into whether college or whatever level. And it's better today because now they have support systems to help them and help. Not only do you have your obviously head coach, but you also have help coach you through your academics, help you coach through your life. They have a lot of that support now. Don't you agree?
I agree 100%. Having that support system, a mentor, someone that could be like, hey, Marques or Monte, hey, this is what we need to do. Just someone that's going to kind of take you up under the wing and kind of show you the ropes. Kind of like, but that in the 80s, or when I was in college, no one in my family had been to college. I did not know what to expect. I did not know anything other than what I knew, which was nothing. Yeah. So I felt like I was thrown into a situation that I wasn't prepared for. Was I prepared athletically? Of course, that was, but was I prepared outside of that? Academically, I did okay, but the personal life, the things that are going to be thrown, you're meeting people, like I said, from all over the United States, and sometimes you're going to be, you don't always make the right choices or decisions, but I think, kind of allude what you said, today's student athletes, and as they should, they are, a little bit more equipped to handle that big time exposure.
Yeah, that's a big difference right there.
It is,
and that's great. What's a ceiling that you're working towards breaking through right now?
Well, kind of like what I told you, my ceiling is just unlimited now, and one of the things that I always work to now is, we just talked about it, the youth. I want to continue and to mentor our youth. I think it's so important to keep kids on the right track, and I just think that it's my duty to continue to be a light in kids' lives, to help kids make the right choices, to share some of my bad choices with kids, and you don't know whose life you could change. You don't know that, and if you can change one kid's path, then you've won, and that's one of the biggest things that I strive to do, and I will continue to strive to do,
That's awesome. I love the mentoring the youth and making sure that the next generation is better than today.
Most definitely.
I appreciate you sharing that. That's great. That's great.
Yes, it is. And what a wonderful interview today. I appreciate your insight.
Absolutely.
And it's been great.
There's a number of things that I took away that I want to reinforce to our audience, the Achiever. And number one is ask yourself, is this where I want to be? I thought that was a powerful question to ask yourself.
Yes.
Is this where I want to be and what's next? And change your mindset of what's next and how do I get there? And the next one is understand your natural gifts and maximize those natural gifts. A lot of people don't recognize their natural gifts and don't maximize them, or they don't use them in their day-to-day. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. Yes. And the last one I'll share is love what you do. Yes. And that's where you started the conversation, was you love what you do, and you'll do everything that you can to make it successful and do it right. So, Paul, any other additions?
Absolutely, I think that's great. I love the core values and being aligned with those core values.
A lot of times, and this is I can share this too. A lot of times, people get stuck with what other people think of, what other people think of them. A lot of times people get stuck on that, and they create a mental prison within themselves, and they don't step out and challenge themselves, or they don't step out and do something different that they would like to do. And that's what I challenge people all the time, man. Break that mental prison, and it, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what, if you're doing the right thing, don't let people judge you, affect your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a natural thing for human beings want to have people like them.
100%.
But you find out people really don't spend much time thinking about you anyway.
Thinking about you? Who's thinking about you like that, man? And we get caught up on that, though.
We do. What a great comment. Thanks, Marcus. I appreciate that.
A question that we like to ask every guest is, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to leave as your legacy?
An overcomer. I've overcome different things because some, just conditions, different things that I created for myself. I think my legacy should and will be known as just that, the man who overcame things and kind of figured it out, and will continue to figure it out. And a person that's a hard worker. that's kind of like what I want to be known. I think that hard work takes you to great places.
Awesome.
Great.
Marques, thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate your insights, your experience, and your stories. I love to hear them. So thank you for joining us, our audience, The Achiever, and keep up the great work of building yourself, growing yourself, improving every single day. Just like that question, is this where I want to be? And challenge yourself to go to that next level of what's your ceiling. So thanks for joining us. Make sure you share it. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode.